I should have listened to my husband's sister. She tried to warn me. She told me about how evil her brother was, and I simply did not listen, and I married this jerk. And I came to realize he was going to put a child in danger. So you know what? I'm filing for divorce, but that's not all. I'm going to get him caught for what he's done.
2 years ago, I lost my family in a car accident, and now I've lost my husband and daughter. No, they're not dead or something. It's my husband who vanished with my daughter with all my money and left me in debt. I'm not understanding whom I should trust. The alleged sister of my husband who said not to marry him, or my instinct that says that nobody in this world is worth trusting. Hello, this is Dana. And I'm a school teacher, a farmer, and also a mother to a child whom I did not give birth to. Her name's Gabby, and she's the most precious person in my life after my parents. I met her when she was first enrolled at my school. A meek, slender, but extremely cute little girl. She was hiding behind her father on the first day of school. I carefully came near her and introduced myself as Dana, her teacher. She smiled at me and waved her hand, and her father said to her that I'll be taking care of her while he's not around, and that I am more than capable. So Gabby should be a good kid, respect me, and never try to bother me at any cost. That was new to me, as most parents always say that their child is never wrong and they hold teachers responsible for their child's mischievous deeds. I guess Rick was different. Kind of old school, or maybe he's a good father who knows how to teach their children to behave just like my parents were. I was the only child of my parents, and therefore I'd been given all the love and care any kid could ever ask for. Though, my parents were also strict about reasonable stuff. They did teach me to be disciplined, as Rick has done with Gabby, and, well, my parents died 2 years ago in a car accident that devastated my entire existence. I'd been bred in cities as I completed my education at a respectable university. I did not want to settle in one place for my entire life. My parents wanted me to be with them and take control of their huge farmland. But I just had a wonderful opportunity as an intern in a faraway city. My parents did not stop me. Instead, they had planned to throw a surprise party for me, but that night, they found themselves on the wrong side in the wrong place as a truck rammed their car, and this incident vanished them from my life forever. Well, after that, I decided to stay in town and continue doing my family business on our ancestral property, so I became a farmer, and with my financial expertise and knowledge of farming, which was passed down from generation, I managed to increase the profit margin. Within a year, I became a core member of the town's farming committee, and then I also joined a school as a teacher to keep up with the townspeople and keep myself quite busy. Until Gabby came, it had been going as usual for the last 2 years. Rick had opened up a huge showroom of trucks, tractors, and other farming equipment and utilities. Before that, we had to rely on the nearest city for our supplies of such things, and it was costing us an absolute fortune. I used to go frequently to Rick's showroom. As the head of finance for our farming committee, I had the responsibility to make sure all the farmers got the gear and supplies that they needed. Well, just to support the crops and the farm animals. Rick and I crossed paths a lot, as he used to drop off and take Gabby by himself from school. One day, Rick invited me to his house when Gabby insisted, as she had become so close to me, so I went there for dinner. There he told me that he used to live in a city in another state and have left it a few years after his wife's demise and moved here as he came to know that this town is one of the most peaceful ones ever. And all the people here seemed quite jolly and amicable to him. He was such a kind person and a loving dad. And despite being in his 30s, he looked so young. Our meeting became frequent after that, and not for business purposes or at school only, but We started to go on dates as he had some mystical charm that I simply could not resist. On Sundays, Gabby and Rick used to come to my farmland also. Gabby, as a former city dweller, used to be so enthusiastic whenever she visits my farmland. Seeing such huge open land and all the animals, she used to wander for hours in the fields while I and Rick could get more time to get to know each other. I was starting to feel a connection between me and them, but I never verbalized it or let it come to my face. But I guess Rick sensed it long ago. After a few months of meeting, Rick finally proposed to me. It was a yearly farming festival in our town, and I was awarded by the committee for my management skills, which led to a booming harvest and profit for the entire farming community of the town. Rick also sponsored the festival to increase his goodwill, so he was also one of them who presented the award to me. After I received the award, Rick stopped me from alighting and kneeled down on my feet with the diamond ring, and the whole town gathered with joy to see it and started shouting to accept the proposal. It was very sudden, but somehow I wanted this to happen. So I accepted the proposal and kissed Rick in front of everyone. Within a month, we happened to get engaged and decided to marry a few months later as Gabby had exams. Just a few months, and we both did not want to hamper her education for our own happiness. Till then, I went shopping in the nearest city while Rick was out of town for some business deals. While shopping, I got confronted by a lady. She was a bit disheveled, but she insisted that I listen to her. I tried to leave, but then she said that I should not marry Rick. I froze in my position and asked how she knew about Rick and me, and she then told me that she's the younger sister of Rick, and he is not a good guy. She revealed that he made her look horrible in front of their parents, and he proved she was a drug addict, and also fabricated fake evidence by putting illegal substances in her college bag and spreading rumors that she sells illegal drugs. Which disappointed her parents, as you could imagine, and they disowned her and transferred all their property into Rick's name. Later, her parents died mysteriously of food poisoning, and Rick became the sole owner of the property, which he later sold and moved to another city. There, he married an orphan girl who had a rich inheritance just like me. And later, she also died within a year after giving birth to Gabby. Rick also usurped all her property and moved to another city. And finally, he came to this town. She also claimed that she was trying to track him down and found that he was living in some local town in this particular state, and she finally found him when he proposed at me at the farming festival. I wanted to walk away without listening to any of it, but somehow my mind did not let me, and I kept hearing all the nonsense. I was told by Rick that he was the only child, so maybe this lady was just some jerk who's jealous of him, or there's some truth in her words. Before leaving, the lady said that she's residing in the motel on the outskirts of the town and warned me to stay away from Rick and help her put Rick behind bars. Rick came back after just 1 week, and until then, I also forgot about the incident and just straight up ignored it. I had some doubts in my mind, but I did not want to bother Rick, as he might think I'm a foolish person who's blaming him after listening to some drunk lady, who might just be someone who wants to frame Rick. I curbed my curiosity and made myself busy with the wedding arrangements, as it was around the corner this very month. All the town folks were helping in the arrangements, as my parents were revered locals, and I was kind of adopted to the town after their deaths. Gabby was also excited to see me in a wedding dress, as she had not seen her mother since she died in childbirth. Gabby started to call me Mom after the wedding was finalized, and it was quite an ecstatic feeling for me, as I never imagined tying myself into a familial lifestyle, as I had planned to stay single and enjoy life while touring the world and accumulating a fortune. The wedding day came near, and everything was set without any margin of error, as the town folks had managed to keep everything under control and made sure that the wedding celebration went smoothly, and everyone enjoyed it like a festival, but with care and responsibility. Rick was standing in front of me while I was walking with an elder of the town and Gabby, and the final vows were happening and everyone was getting emotional. But just as Rick was about to complete the last vow, someone pushed him hard on the ground, and I saw that it was the same lady with whom I had met while shopping. She then kicked Rick and threw a bunch of pamphlets in the air before people could tackle her. The lady just kept cursing Rick and shouting at me not to marry him. Well, Rick stood up in a hurry and checked Gabby and me for our safety, and I asked him if he knew who she was. Upon that, he almost blurted out that it was his sister, but then he abruptly shut his mouth and said that he doesn't know her. I kept one pamphlet and hid it under my dress just to read it later. After the ceremony, I managed to get some alone time before bed, and I read the pamphlet while in the changing room, and it was a letter from Rick's ex-wife, perhaps an excerpt from her diary. In it, she was saying that she fell in love with Rick when he used to join her NGO as a volunteer. She was so awestruck by his kind-hearted behavior and the way he treated her. She thought he was the best companion for her, as she had been alone after her parents' demise when she was only a kid. Rick proposed to her and they got married within a few months, and the first few months were like a dream come true for her. And she also got pregnant, but as time goes on, she comes to know about Rick's true nature when his sister comes out of jail and gives her all the evidence that proves that Rick was the one who put her behind bars in the first place, and that he's responsible for their parents' death. She had also written that after the birth of Gabby, she started feeling very sick. Despite the delivery being normal, after suspecting it, I finally found out that Rick must have been mixing some kind of substance into her drink, and she got so heartbroken that she wanted to die. But it was too late, as she became bedridden. To protect Gabby's future, she transferred all her property into her name. I got stunned by it, but could not say any words, though the town folks have already read it, and finally I decided to confront Rick. He then accepted that the lady was indeed his sister, and she was sentenced to jail for illegal substance possession. He then said that she had always been jealous of him, and she used to even drink and smoke with her friends. He caught her one time and warned her as an older brother to stop it, but she never listened, and she used to threaten him, well, with self-harm if she ever was told on by their parents. But finally, she got busted by a school teacher and had to go to jail. And since then, Rick's parents have disowned her, which is why she's trying to take revenge. And when I asked about her wife, he showed me her reports, which stated by the doctor that she had terminal cancer, and Rick tried to save her but failed. That's why he decided to move far away from all the mess of his past life, to start a new one and give his dear daughter Gabby a better future. He wanted to move to another country for that, but Gabby was a bit sick, so he decided to come to a better part of town from the city life. I still had a pinch of doubt, but I could see the evidence was all there, so I had no reason to not believe him. A few months later, I was looking after the farming process when I heard one of the workers scream from the last corner of the farmland. It was Gabby, who was fainting on the ground. I immediately rushed her to the local hospital, and there they found out that Gabby has stage 1 leukemia. My heart skipped a beat, and I did not waste a single moment taking her to the best cancer hospital in our state. Rick was out of town, so I communicated the situation via text message, and the diagnosis started. And finally, Gabby was declared to be out of danger. Though it did take at least 8 months to get back on track, she was weaker than before and needed more time to recover. I could not leave Gabby in the hospital alone, while Rick was about to go back to the town to sell his estate in order to pay the hospital fee. I just suggested he sells half of my ancestral farmland so that he would not need to go bankrupt. He first refused, but later agreed to do so, and I even signed the papers, and he went back to the town to complete the remaining formalities. Finally, I came to town with Gabby, and she became so frail. But her smile was intact, and she always clenched to me while calling me her mother. I guess I did fulfill my duties as a proud mom, and now my baby girl is Gabby. It's good and recovering fast with time. After a few weeks from coming back to town, I had to focus on my remaining land as the peak time of the season was close, and I had the responsibility to manage my farm as well as the selling and transporting of the crops to the whole town. Rick got a message from his distant buddy about whom he had mentioned that they used to be in the same social group back in college, and he, was having a wedding celebration and Rick has to attend it. He asked me to come with him, but I could not because of my responsibilities, so I proposed to Rick that he visits Gabby as she's doing better now, and a new place and celebration might give her more joy and energy, as I would not be able to give her genuine time for her care for a week. Rick agreed to this, but Gabby wanted to stay with me, so I pampered my little princess, and finally she nodded affirmatively on the condition that I would take a week off for vacation with them. I laughed and kissed her a goodbye. Maybe I should not have let her go with Rick, as Gabby wanted to stay with me. If only I had not been blindfolded. A few days later, while I was auditing all the business and personal accounts, I came to know that a bank was deducting a hefty amount from my personal account on a monthly basis. Well, when I contacted the branch, they told me that I've taken a loan from their bank, and with further inquiry, I came to know that the loan was taken at exactly the time when Gabby was hospitalized. And later, it was revealed to me that the hospital bills were paid with said loan. That was entirely taken out in my name, which totally contradicts what Rick had told me. I hurriedly contacted Rick to ask what the heck is going on, but his mobile phone was dead. I complained at a local police station about the fraud that's happened to me, and later, they found that Rick had already sold all his assets and that his original account showed no money. Nothing whatsoever. Which means he siphoned off all the money and illegally transferred it, and I was dumbstruck at the moment when I came to know manipulated me, and that he was not what he had shown to be. What is up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So I have 3 mini updates. All these updates were actually found in the comment section. They're pretty short, only a couple paragraphs each. However, there is some devastating news in them. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you want to support the channel for daily videos, it's simple. Hit that subscribe button underneath this video, and let's jump into update number 1. I just remembered about the pamphlet and finally realized that all that I read in it was, in fact, true. I'd been told about the old lady that was odd who claimed to be Rick's sister, and that she was living in a motel on the outskirts of town. I searched every motel in town and all the adjacent towns, and after a few days, I finally found her in the most rotten motel. There I told her about everything that had happened and asked for help. Her name was Venessa, and she also showed me an old picture in which Rick, Venessa, and their parents are smiling together. She said that Rick must be leaving the country, and by now he must have done it, as he's always been meticulous in his planning. I was hopeless and even cried in front of her while she was brooding. Venessa then suddenly asked me about Gabby's health. I told her that she's doing well but is still on medication, and doctors have advised us not to let her travel extensively. Venessa scolded me for letting her go with Rick for that, fake marriage celebration. I told her that it wasn't that far, and Rick also had to take her for a routine checkup, so I agreed to take Gabby with him. Venessa then said that there's a possibility of miscalculation. Upon asking, she said that Rick could have gone alone to another country and nobody could have traced him, but he took Gabby with him, which means he loves her so much he cannot leave without her. I was hopeful that there must be a possibility that he might not have left yet, as he would not risk Gabby's health. So, I asked Venessa about the evidence she had collected back in the day and took her to the police station. The head of the department was also a good friend of my parents, and he did find the evidence solid, and contacted all the police stations to put them on high alert, as the case had become quite severe against Rick, and Now it was near impossible for him to get away from the clutches of justice. Update number 2. After a few weeks of extensive searching in the hospitals and other possible areas, such as the closest international airports and hotels around him, Rick was not caught yet. In all of these places, but rather news came across the state that a man has been caught with an unconscious female child in the international sea by the Coast Guards. He was convicted of human trafficking. Later, it was found that it was none other than Rick, and the female kid was Gabby, his biological daughter. The police escorted both of them to the local police station and finally met Gabby again. She ran towards me and embraced me tightly, and the moment she listened to my voice, she told me that her father was arguing with the doctor about taking me to another country, and when the doctors did not permit her father, he got angry and did not take her to the wedding. Instead, he kept on driving on empty roads. Gabby did not get to eat, and she got so sick. When her dad took her to the hospital, she ran away from it, but could not run for long as she was sick. So she slept on the road. Next, she remembers hearing my voice and saying that it gave her so much joy. After that, the court found Rick guilty of forgery and child endangerment, and he got life imprisonment for the crimes he committed, but we failed to make a case against him for killing his wife. And the case of framing his sister for drug selling did not work, as it's already been established. Though Venessa was happy that at least Rick is now imprisoned, and she got her revenge a little bit. The court stripped Rick of all his assets, and I did recover most of the money he siphoned off by selling half of my property, his own showroom, and the other land. Gabby was already a rightful heir to her biological mother's property, and later, I also officially adopted her. So now she's become heir to her current mother as well, and it took some time for Gabby to understand that her father was not a good person, but she was doing fine with me. Though I have to take Gabby to prison to let her meet her father, she has always asked the same questions of him. Why did he kill her mother? To which Rick never says anything directly and just slouches to avoid eye contact, and he's finally realized that he can lie to the whole world with wide eyes, but he cannot escape the guilt he sees in his daughter's eyes. Update number 3. It's been a year. Hey guys, so it's been about a year since the incident happened, and now Gabby is also fully recovered. As the doctor's report concluded, I asked if she could travel longer hours, upon which the doctor mocked that I could take her unless I was not planning to smuggle Gabby via international seas and get caught for human trafficking. We both laughed at that, and he said that Gabby is so lucky to have me. Later, Gabby and I went on to the tour of the world, and we enjoyed it a lot as we kept this up for 2 straight months. During this time, our bond grew strong, and we became an indomitable force. Though we did not go alone, Venessa also went with us, and she has been with our family since then. She had lost her youthful time by getting wrongfully convicted because of her own brother, and she also lost all the love and trust of her parents, so we all knew how it felt to be alone in the world. I've given a fair share to Venessa just to compensate her as a family member, and I bought back Rick's shop, and I gifted it to Venessa so that she can also live with respect and dignity, and I'm back on my usual routine of teaching in school and taking care of my farmland, and now I have some smaller but quite strong hands that always come forward to help me and hug me, and that is my little Gabby, who's become a bit tall and heavy. Thank you guys for sticking with me throughout this journey.
So it looks like OP was in an absolute pickle in this story. It did work out pretty well in the end though, and she was able to contact the police and get her hands on Gabby. Guys, I would like to talk to you about this story though. If you were in OP's position, would you have listened to the sister of her husband way sooner when she tried to pass out the pamphlet in town? Drop your comments down below. Let's discuss this one. I would love to hear from you guys. If you're new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate, animate, and we discuss stories every single day. They range from inheritance dramas, mother-in-law disputes, and let me tell ya, we have some wild mother-in-law disputes on this channel. Also, Karen in the Wild stories, can't forget those, and so many more. So if you guys want to be a part of these daily videos, smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.